Yep.
So that's when he announced there was a landing frame and the rear cover from the submersible. So, if this was just some news organization that we've never heard of, you'd have to be very cautious. Sky News, obviously very popular. BBC, hugely popular. When they start reporting this stuff, you kind of have to weigh.
So
that's when he announced there was a landing frame
from
and
the
the rear
sky.
cover and the conversations and communications through WhatsApp. So you have to take that all with a grain of salt until we really have an official word. But when it starts to get through to many international and national news organizations, you start to pay attention. So the fact that we know there's a debris field there is not good news, because look, we're talking about the size of a minivan. If there's a debris field, that's concerning, because that to me indicates problems. But even in the information that came out from Sky News, BBC, they hadn't said anything about the hull yet, or the area where the men would be contained. So that's still a big question. I mean, where are these people? And is this really the damage from the submersible? So tons of questions, and hopefully they'll answer a lot of that for us coming up at the 3 o'clock news conference.
Technically, obviously, we want to do a quick check, if we may, due to the look. Streaming is technically still an evolving thing as far as
I'm surprised you can still talk.
Man,
You've been on the air how long?
5 a.m. this morning.
Going for a 12-hour day.
Yeah, it's going to be that kind of day. But can I please, we'll do this periodically because of the unreliability of some of the feeds that have been going out to our social media partners. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, everybody, if you can hear us okay, and if audio is coming through clear without any of that crackling that we were noting earlier, or any of that distortion. Thumbs down if we're having problems. Please be sincere with your response. We're just trying to make sure that we're able to stream appropriately and do it across. We'll do this periodically. Look for thumbs up. I'll check YouTube Live. Actually, we're not live on Facebook yet. We're going to be resuming our Facebook Live coverage in about the next 15 to 20 minutes. Clear. Sin Forever. I've been noting this a lot in the comments section. People are saying that the Ocean Gate website is down. Josh, you see this?
I haven't seen that. No.
Maybe is that something maybe you could investigate?
I will look.
While I look for thumbs up here, making sure
I'm
that
sure
we're
people are
broadcasting.
flooding it to try to see a statement of some sort or any indication, but there hasn't been much from them on their Twitter or on any of their profiles, as far as I know.
Appreciate the thumbs up that I'm seeing. It sounds as if we do have a strong connection to our platforms, and I'll just check. Yep, TikTok, we're good. Facebook, get to launch. YouTube, we're good. WFLA.com, WFLA app, we're good. Okay, so Ocean Gate's website crashing. Everyone could be looking for maybe the. Have we heard anything about a statement being put out by Ocean Gate?
No.
So people,
I think they
searching.
just assume if they're hearing, and maybe there is word of it going around, but technically, I think the sources are coming from the Coast Guard. So if you want to follow Twitter accounts that are going to give you the fastest information, those Coast Guard accounts are going to be important to follow. They're going to be the ones as the Northeast Division came out with this statement earlier about the debris field. That's how we quickly knew that was a reliable source that had that information. So I think we're going to hear the most from the Coast Guard, the various entities within the Coast Guard, as we get more information.
Yeah.
I don't know when Ocean Gate would release a statement until they were definitively knew what was happening. And they do, but they're going to really be careful about what they say next.
Yeah, and I understand there's vitriol online, people who are very upset at what has transpired, and we've seen this with stories that we cover, and Josh, you know about this as far as the human nature, the human response. It immediately becomes a blame game in essence, and people want it's almost reactionary. People want something to blame for what we are currently dealing with, and let's a full investigation will have to be conducted. A lot of questions will have to be answered, and let's see exactly what we find out at 3 o'clock, and allow the process to unfold before passing along particularly harsh judgments. No doubt there's going to be learning from this from so many different perspectives, but let's just everyone remember that there's so much here that we don't fully understand. I think Mark Martin was really great as far as our guest today, Josh. articulating that, people think that they know what they're talking about as far as how these operations work, but these expeditions, they are complex, they're complicated, there's a lot of moving parts, and we just don't necessarily know the truth of what transpired.
And I feel like, even with the resources getting out to that ground zero, so to speak, it feels like it's a lifetime for them to get there. But in reality, hearing from some of these professionals saying this is record time that some of these resources got out to the water, I've heard that a few different ways, and I've heard people complain that why didn't this happen sooner. So I mean, I don't know what kind of job that is to get all of these resources aligned, from different countries as well, to try to figure out who's going to show up, where they're going to go, what's the plan, who's going to search where. And you look at some of the ocean charts on where some of these location maps are for each of the vessels. It's interesting to watch too, with the grid patterns that they're navigating, and it's really interesting to see where they're positioning themselves too. So I've been following a lot of that online.
Squidward says #HJB, and Josh, I don't know if this is the Squidward, but of course, Squidward, a YouTube username. There's a bunch of social media saying the debris was landing gear and a rear point piece. We have those details on WFLA.com. We talked about that on stream about 40 or so minutes ago with Mark Martin. He is part of a group that is communicating about what has been learned from the debris. The debris field that has been discovered down there, and yeah, based on his source, and of course corroborating reports from the UK, it seems as if the landing frame and the tail end are among the field of debris down there, 2.5 miles down. I want to show everybody here really quickly. We'll hit the touchscreen and take you to a shot that is being calibrated clearly because it looks quite blurry, and I think it's also repeating. This is welcome to live television, folks. When they are trying to tune in a shot, it can have deteriorated quality. We will come back to this when the shot is clear. I will make this clear to our audience. We are going to be accessing multiple camera feeds from the press conference because, and we've done this a few times. We've been around the block once or twice before, Josh. We know that with a large collection of media in one place, sometimes that can break down the online infrastructure as far as getting a feed out and distributed to local, national, international media. So we in the Stream Center here are going to tap into multiple camera feeds at the press conference because if one goes down, we want you to be able to listen to the backup feed. We will have the backup feed. I've confirmed that with our team. And so that's coming up.
Yep, and I'm seeing some things about, this is just stuff that's online that we could talk about because we're getting tagged on it. The company whose remotely operated vehicle, or ROV, that found the debris field, reportedly said its focus on the families of those on the Titan and their tragic loss. They put out a statement, apparently and allegedly, I don't know the details on this, Pelagic Research Services, but then deleted it. So we're reading about that. So I'm looking into that right now to see. A lot of people are really kind of wild about that right now. So let me look into that and see where that's all coming from.
Can you repeat that one more time? Because I was reading some comments. What exactly are you looking into?
It sounds like the company that had the ROV that found the debris field. People are claiming online that they put out a statement.
Oh,
and
Horizon.
And then deleted it.
Oh, no, Horizon.
It said like Pelagic was the name of the company.
Oh, well.
So I don't know.
I'm not sure about that company, Pelagic, but I am sure about that. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, the release here that I'm reading, Horizon Arctic's ROV is the one that spotted it. I don't know if the ROV operator is that company that you're talking about, but yeah, I'll let you keep looking. In the meantime, I'll let folks know that you can interact with us here live on WFLA Now. As soon as we see, actually we have a lot of #HJB, #HeyJosh questions and comments, and we're going to try to continue to carry the conversation forward. And Kerry, we will be restoring Facebook Live in approximately 5 to 10 minutes.
I wish we had someone who knew this submersible back and forth that we could talk to right now, because what I'm hearing about, this platform that released and the cover, the rear cover from the pointy part of the submersible, the hull is the main part, as I understand it, where everybody's located. But that tip of that submersible, is that just a cover? and they're talking about that's just a cover that fell off, and the whole thing is still intact.
Right. People are asking, is the hull
Because it doesn't
integrity...
look like there's a separation point on the back. It looks pretty smooth, so maybe there's just a cover that they can access some of the electrical components through that cover. I don't
how
know.
intact the
Here's a
vessel
picture,
is.
You know what I mean? So at what point, how much of that tail is...
Is that something you can show to our audience here? Just kind of...
Sure. Just for reference, I guess.
Landing gear on the bottom,
Right.
and then the tail end.
I just don't know
on
how
the...
much of that tail would be...
Oh, it's cleared now. And 9 is still tuned in.
We're still working on the feed for the news conference, right? Is that what you're working on?
Yeah, but you know what? Our first feed that I told you was being calibrated and worked on. Look at that.
Clean. Look at that.
That's a clean feed.
So that's at 3 o'clock, so we still have a half hour.
Yeah, we got some time. And we're going to be reintroducing Facebook Live into the audience here momentarily in about the next 5 minutes or so. Let's go back. We'll try to get a couple more questions and comments before we say hello again to Facebook Live. So yes, Gremlin King, we are going to be showing the live Coast Guard press conference. That's what we are here for, is to get updated information, and that's what the Stream Center is built for, to be able to share live feeds from across the country and around the world with you, our audience.
Let me ask you a question. You've been streaming for 10 hours or 8 hours or so. What are your takeaways from this so far? I know it's a lot of information to process and you have to manage the mothership here, but has anything stood out to you with all the conversations with the guest earlier? And I didn't get to see a lot of that, but I saw some of it. He was a great guest.
Yeah, Mark Martin was superb, and I think our audience agrees based on some of the feedback that we have been receiving here in our comment section. Yeah, as far as like pinpointing one thing that really sticks out.
Not to put you on the spot, but
yeah, I know. I appreciate
nobody gets
it.
to ask you the questions because you're doing all the questions and answering them all. So it's just nice to hear what you think.
No, I think my big takeaway, I know this might sound like a lame, non-answer, but I just, again, this is going to sound like a lame non-answer, but this is genuinely how I feel. So don't roll your eyes too hard, YouTube and social media. But I feel always genuinely humbled when we have somebody who has so much experience. He brings nearly 50 years of experience, or around 5 decades worth of underwater exploration experience. He's a retired U.S. Navy submariner. This is somebody who has spent just an incredible amount of time in the water, and being able to share his wealth of knowledge with people and use this platform for good, as far as trying to make sense of a very complex field. The field of deep sea exploration is so, and it's vast and complex
and untouched. There's still a lot to learn.
People online claim to be experts, or not experts, but the random folks on Twitter will try to come off as authoritative. And when you have the real deal, somebody really paint you a picture as to the fact versus fiction component of this, I'm very grateful to have guests like that.
Yeah. No, and even online, when you listen to someone who has that experience and read their tweets, you take it a lot more seriously because they know what they're talking about. They've walked that walk, so to speak. So It's nice to hear their experience and kind of pour through on, and a lot of these networks have nice guests that come on that have been through this, or even have ties or experience with OceanGate. So it's nice to hear their experience too, because they've been in it. This Simpsons writer, you see him, he's all over the networks right now talking about his trip down to see the Titanic. It's fascinating to hear the stories, but I think there's going to be many more stories to come after this is all said and done, in terms of what happens next for research, what happens next for safety. I mean, there's a lot of questions to get through. We're not even close to being done with it yet. We're
close to getting answers, but the process is very much going to be ongoing for a long time, potentially years. Washabi asking who is going to be exactly speaking. I think by now we're most familiar with Captain Jamie Frederick of the 1st Coast Guard District Response. He's the first Coast Guard District Response Coordinator. We're also going to be hearing from Rear Admiral John Mauger, 1st Coast Guard District Commander. The two of them are, according to the release, going to be speaking to the media. We're moments away. Oh yeah, here we go. This provides us with some context, and this is a contribution from one of our audience members. Roby says #AJB Horizon Arctic is using the pelagic I think that's ROV. Pelagic. They have put that in their homepage about this operation. So right, I remember seeing that name as far as the ROV operator, so that becomes more clear for us now because so much has been made about Horizon Arctic's involvement in this discovery, and so that is believed to be the actual ROV that we're talking about here, and that's good clarity. I believe that what Roby is saying here is accurate, and if it's not, we'll correct in a little bit.
And I think you're right about OceanGate's homepage. I can't even open the site, so either they took it down or it's just getting inundated with traffic. We're not getting an error necessarily. I'm on my cell phone, so it's. Wish I had my laptop because then we could run some other tests to see what the deal is. But
so many comments. I'm misclicking on so many because they're scrolling so fast on my screen. Three fins, #AJB tail is not a part of the hull.
Right.
Apparently, including
so it's got to be separate pieces. There's just got to be a dividing line there that has the tail and then the hull and then the frame.
But then again, this is according to a group chat, WhatsApp, and look, we're going to get a more definitive answers coming up at the press conference here in the center of your screen at 3 o'clock Eastern. And let's not forget, in addition to what's expected, in addition to hearing from these two officials with the U.S. Coast Guard in Boston, what we are also expected to get is a Q&A in the aftermath of this. Media, of course, descending on Boston for this press conference and have been there all week, and they are going to be asking questions. So a lot of times we find out some of the most pertinent information in the Q&A afterwards because it's direct responses to direct questions. Josh has been in those press situations. I have as well, as far as just everyone asking questions at once. You try to get your question in, you do your best, and we're going to be carrying the entirety of the press conference from the beginning all the way through to the end. Right now you can see they're doing the audio hookup so that every press agency that is there and represented is able to get clean audio. You're just seeing a little bit behind the scenes of what that process looks like. We are going to now relaunch our stream on Facebook Live. And to do that, we're going to be going into a 60-second countdown. We'll be right back here on WFLA Now.
WFLA Now will begin momentarily. WFLA Now will begin momentarily. Breaking news on WFLA Now. Here's JB Puno.
About 20 minutes away from a 3 o'clock Eastern update, a Coast Guard press conference after a debris field found 2.5 miles down in the North Atlantic during the search for the missing Titan sub. The debris field found right next to the wreckage. You're looking here at a live signal from Boston, Massachusetts, as the Coast Guard press conference is about to get underway. JB here with you live in the WFLA Now Stream Center alongside WFLA anchor Josh Benson here on the right side of your screen. It's good to have Josh back on stream. We're saying hello once again to our social media audience on YouTube Live, elsewhere, other platforms too, but reintroducing our Facebook Live audience after, let me just quickly explain, Facebook Live doesn't let you go beyond 8 hours of streaming. So the previous live stream was severed by Facebook as a result of hitting that 8-hour cap. But we're back, and if anybody wants to tag anybody to let them know that this is the new feed, the new stream, the place where you can find the press conference itself, you can tag the individual below or tag them in the Facebook Live comment section. And as always, as people know here on WFLA Now. Just use hashtag HeyJB. If you want to interact with us, you can also use hashtag HeyJosh, any of the on-screen hashtags that we have over the course of this live stream. So going here on the touchscreen, showing you here full screen, this is the staging area for the 3 o'clock press conference. But Josh, this comes after a disheartening report, a report that we hope to get more details on at 3 o'clock. Disheartening because we're hearing about a debris field, potentially a landing frame and tail end being found.
We got an update too.
Okay.
Just a few minutes ago from CNN. The debris discovered within the search area, the missing Titanic submersible, has been assessed to be from the external body of the sub. That was according to a memo located on the ocean floor, roughly 500 meters off the bow of the Titanic, and was located around 8:55 a.m. Eastern. That's new in terms of location and external body. Just getting a little more details about the debris field. So that's just coming in.
Okay, so the submersible has been assessed to be from the external body of the sub. So
the debris, yes. According to a memo reviewed by CNN, the search for the crew capsule of the Titan continues. So it sounds like the frame and the tail and any other parts of the outside of the body, outside of that hull, sounds like is what's happening. But now we have a location 500 meters off the bow of the Titanic.
I need to, the Americans here are going to have to do a quick conversion of 500 meters to
feet.
feet.
I've been having a hard time with that too. Feet and meters.
United States, we just, we have different units of measurement here, and I don't know why, but that is 1,600 feet. Pretty close.
That's 1,600 feet. Yeah, I mean, what's a mile? 5,200 feet?
5,200 feet. So approximately a quarter of a mile.
But that's not like right up against it. I mean, it's still a pretty good distance, right?
Quarter mile. Yeah, it's not right up on it.
No, I would think it would have been right there. That's really interesting. And here's another question I have.
Let's just state the obvious. I'm sorry, really quickly.
Yeah.
Let's just state the obvious here. They are now saying that they are reporting it's from the sub. So we have had the
confirmation
WhatsApp
that it's been
report,
found.
but this is apparently there's a memo being distributed that the external body of the sub is the source of this debris field found near the Titanic. I'm sorry. A
big question I have, my wife and I were talking about this, is the currents underwater. You hear about previous run-ins with the Titanic, literally like getting stuck on the wreckage because of the currents. But when you're that deep, 12,500 feet, are there currents down there?
There is.
I mean, I can't imagine that there's a lot, but maybe there is. I don't know, because there's nothing down there to control any water.
As I understand it, there is current, but it fluctuates. But and this is based on the interviews that we have done here on stream. But it's not entirely still down there. But again, Mark Martin would be the best person to describe.
But that's interesting, where the wreckage was found then. If that drifted, or if it was really that's where the incident occurred, that far away. They maybe never made it to the Titanic. They were close. You wonder, like, how does it all play out in the timeline?
That is 500 meters is about 540 yards. So we're talking about
5 football fields.
5 football fields.
Just far.
Roughly.
Far. I mean, it's not that.
It's not right. They're not right up on one another.
So you wonder if they were coming into it because they lost communication, or they just drifted that far. If they lost communication and lost everything, or an incident happened on their way down, if the water just took them that far away from it. Or maybe that was their landing. I don't know. Those are the questions people are going to start asking.
Mark was sharing that you wouldn't necessarily drop right down on top of it.
Exactly.
Basically what he was saying.
Yep.
So,
agreed.
We do have, as you can see here, there's the feed is going to be calibrated for multiple media organizations to be able to take advantage of. But let me make this clear, because this is part of the Stream Center's functionality. We do have the ability to go to a backup feed. We have think about it. There's going to be cameras all in front of this podium. We have access to multiple cameras here. So if this one goes down, we go to another one. So you don't have to worry about, our loss of feed, even though, as I talk about it, we're now in bars, as they call it. And we'll get this shot back up eventually. But in the meantime, let's show you some of the video from the Royal Canadian Air Force. Let's start to introduce our audience interactively. You can use hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJosh. We'll try to get some comments going on screen, but a lot of prayers are coming in, like from Ma Fast, #AJB, my heart goes out to the families. It's incredibly heartbreaking. And we were talking about this earlier, Josh. If they have in fact confirmed that this is the sub,
which they have,
right, according to the memo, according to the CNN report,
yep,
then next of kin is part of the notification process, which might be why we have a 3 o'clock presser and not a 1 o'clock presser as well.
Right. And there's still no word on if they've found the people on board.
Right. Their remains.
Yeah. They don't know where that is, and that's concerning. But, you know, that's the biggest piece of the submersible, so that's got to be, you got to assume that's got to be close. Or maybe they're just not reporting on it yet, because as you said, they're probably going through those steps.
Mark Martin says he will be returning at some point on stream. We will be hopefully getting Mark back to Mr. Mike Hawk joining us in our comment section. We'll do our very best. Of course, he's been invited. And I'm looking.
You want me to read this update?
Of course.
Yeah. All right, so the debris discovered within the search area of the missing Titanic submersible has been assessed to be from the external body of the sub. That's according to a memo that was reviewed by CNN, and multiple other agencies are now reporting this. The search for the crew capsule of the Titan vessel continues. That's what the memo states. The debris was located on the ocean floor, roughly 500 meters, about a third of a mile off the bow of the Titanic, and was found around 8:55 a.m. Eastern. It was discovered by a remotely operated vehicle that was searching the seafloor. That's according to the Coast Guard. And the discovery came at an urgent time for the search and rescue efforts. Experts say the sub and its 5 passengers would be reaching the limit of the sub's roughly 96 hours of life support, having disappeared on Sunday morning. So that's the very, very latest update. So still no word on the hull or the gentleman on board. Nobody has commented on that.
Yeah, and that
Still
might be, they might
point.
be waiting for, of course, 3 o'clock for that information to be distributed and published.
Okay.
What do you got?
A statement from OceanGate just came out saying OceanGate said Thursday that they believe the passengers of the Titanic-bound submersible have sadly been lost. That's according to the official company statement. So they're coming through and stating that now.
I'm just updating some information here, folks. I'm sure Josh is as well. We're kind of multitasking here, so forgive us for the silence. In the meantime, let's show you the live feed from Boston, Massachusetts. Did OceanGate release that on Twitter, Josh? I just want to...
That was through CNN.
Okay.
So we will see. Everybody has this. Everybody's getting this statement now. I couldn't get on their website, so I don't believe it's there. I wonder if they're... Or it was there and people got a hold of it before the site crashed. That's my guess.
He's talking.
We're doing some mic checks. We're doing some mic checks as well, bringing up audio for the first time, and it sounds as if we do have audio, so we'll mute that again here for just a moment.
It's a good check to make sure we have it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not your first rodeo, JB.
No, we've done this crazy live streaming thing before, and we're going to, again, we have a backup feed in the event that this one goes down for, just an abundance of media traffic in that area and a lot of online infrastructure load. We're going to do our very best, of course, but I'm pretty confident this satellite feed, I think, is coming through, and I think we have a backup sat feed also, so we should be clear.
Huge audience on YouTube right now, too. 87,000 people tuning in, so great to have everybody with us as we get ready for this news conference. But, that is a sad update. That kind of puts some finality to a lot of what everybody's been hoping for, and it's really a bummer to hear that from the company that sent this down and knowing that these guys aren't coming up. The search is on to try to find them at this point, but clearly the debris field and parts of that submersible have been found, and that's not the ending people were hoping for.
No, it's not. And,
everybody was hoping for that miracle ending,
the
Hollywood ending.
Yeah, the Hollywood script, exactly. And, look, I was We all were. Everyone was rooting for it. And you know, you just want there to be some incredible moment that you just can't fathom. But look, you have to wonder too, is there enough clarity with this discovery, you know, down near the Titanic? Can they be able to tell us with certainty today, Josh, that if, you know, OceanGate is saying that the 5 passengers are believed to have been lost, are they deceased as of Sunday? Because we've been talking about proof. It, right? And they might, depending on the investigation.
Right.
So, and what they have actively found out in this operation. So, are we going to find out that this race against the clock wasn't exactly much of a race in the end, simply because, of some tragic event that unfolded on Sunday, or did this extend into the last several days? Maybe we'll find that out. I'm sure that will be one of the questions asked during this press conference. I would like to, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I want to offer thoughts and prayers again, now that we have this news and it's getting widely distributed national and international breaking news that the OceanGate statement has been released, and the 5 Titan sub passengers are believed to have been lost during this underwater expedition to see the RMS Titanic. And it's Hamish Harding, Shahzada Dawood, Suleiman Dawood, Paul Henry Nargileh, and Stockton Rush, and Paul Henry is most commonly referred to by his friends as PH. And I'm sorry, apologies for any pronunciation difficulties there, but our thoughts and prayers are with the loved ones and family members who are living through their worst reality, their worst nightmare right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are going to start wondering, what did it? What happened? Was it a part of the sub that just gave way? Was it a crack? Those are answers that'll all hopefully come later to figure out what had happened. But that starts off a whirlwind of questions on what happens next, which is far too early to talk about. But in terms of exploration, in terms of safety, in terms of international waters, in terms of what regulations there should be, those are all things I think you and I will be reporting on for months, if not years to come, when it comes to a story like this. But a sad end to the OceanGate and the Titan story. It's really rough to hear.
Let's remind our audience, the U.S. Coast Guard, sometimes press conferences don't exactly start on time. I'll just say that
these guys have been pretty good, though.
They have extraordinarily punctual. And this is because it's the Coast Guard.
Right.
It is, and with that, we expect this press conference to begin promptly at 3 o'clock Eastern in about 7.5 minutes from now. So if you have found this live stream, if you're looking for the press conference, you found it. This is it. Josh and I are going to mute our microphones, and we are going to listen in and learn this news with all of you. We're going to go full screen and find out the latest from Boston. Josh, are you going to be with us through the press conference, or remind me?
They say they keep it to a half hour usually, so
okay.
I just got to be downstairs and get on the air by 4, but we can push it a little bit.
Okay. So, and look, it depends on how long the press conference goes.
Right.
We expect
it may not be that long, but they're going
right.
to have questions, and they generally do. There's going to be a lot of questions.
It is expected to be, I'm sure, a considerable Q&A, because there are so many questions that still remain, and there are going to be questions for a long time. And as I'm sure, one of the questions that we talked about earlier, Josh, is an investigation, what that would look like, who would be the investigating agency, and does it fall under a U.S. jurisdiction, or would a U.S. agency take lead and coordinate an investigation into what transpired? Because there needs to be fact-finding, there needs to be a search for answers, and there needs to be experts dedicated to it to find out exactly what happened to the Titan sub this past Sunday. That's going to require a lot of man hours. It's going to require a lot of technology. It's going to require a lot of multi-department coordination, and right. Will different nations have their own investigations? Could Canada do their investigation? Could the United States? Could the UK? Could France? Will there be an international effort to to collaborate and find out what happened. Because of this happening, of course, in the North Atlantic, there's a lot of different major questions as to how we get answers in the long term. As far as getting answers in the short term, folks, that's coming up in about 5.5 minutes from now when we go full screen to the press conference from Boston. Let's see if we can, Josh, if I mean, I'm going to just start to look here for some final pre-press conference questions and comments with our hashtag system. Again, hashtag KJB, hashtag HeyJosh. If you want to have your comment featured on screen, use one of our hashtags. And we'll try our very best to make sure your voice is heard and make sure that your question is addressed. People asking if Facebook is your platform of choice. We're live on the WFLA Facebook page, as well as I understand, at the WFLA JB.
I have
Facebook
I have
page.
a full statement if you want me to read it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would. Where is exactly the statement from?
Let me see. Hold on.
I want to make sure that I'm live on my page right now. Because our team, I want to make sure I'm not giving anybody any empty promises. But yeah, Josh, it's all you.
Let me get. Yeah, hold on. I'm a lot slower on my phone than I am on my laptop.
And no, we are live on my Facebook page, so that answers that question. Just making sure that we are available to as many people as possible as we share out this feed from Boston, Massachusetts, 4 minutes away now.
All right, I'll read a quick statement from OceanGate Inc. We now believe that our CEO, Stockton Rush, Shahzada Dawood, and his son, Suleiman Dawood, Hamish Harding, and Paul-Henri Nargeolet have been lost. These men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans. Our hearts are with these 5 souls and every member of their families during this tragic time. We grieve the loss of life and joy they brought to everyone they knew. This is an extremely sad time for our dedicated employees who are exhausted and grieving deeply over this loss. The entire OceanGate family is deeply grateful for the countless men and women from multiple organizations of the international community who expedited wide-ranging resources and worked so very hard on this mission. We appreciate their commitment to finding these 5 explorers and their days and nights of tireless work in support of our crew and their families. This is a very sad time for the entire explorer community and for each of the family members of those lost at sea. We respectfully ask that the privacy of these families be respected during this most painful time.
And they would not be putting that out, folks, to the media. This statement would not be put out until a family notification process was completed. And so just heartbreak for these families. You hear about them taking this journey down to the Titanic. For some, multiple trips have already been conducted. For others, it was their first time down to see the Titanic. It's heartbreaking to think about how this is the worst case scenario, is something happening during this expedition, and that worst case scenario, that nightmare has come to life. And so our thoughts and prayers are with those family members, those loved ones. Mark Martin was on earlier, knows 2 of the personnel on board Stockton Rush and PH, knows them so personally.
That's
so
crazy.
This is a tight-knit community as far as deep sea exploration, and they're grieving right now. They're grieving for just a tragedy that has unfolded this week in the North Atlantic. Let's pivot now and make sure, yes, I want to get my backup feed queued up. Again, a tremendous amount of national and international media. So I am bringing up multiple feeds in the event that one happens to go out for some reason during the actual live stream. We're here in the Stream Center being able to punch up those live feeds, and this is the one that we're really most focused on. If we tap the touchscreen here, we'll take you out to Boston, Massachusetts. We'll do an audio check, bring up audio, and we do have audio coming in. Josh, we expect significant...
They're walking up now.
Oh, they're walking up
I
now.
hope they pan a little bit to see
let's
the
listen
media
in.
there. There should be a lot of media there for this one.
And they're walking up. Let's listen in live from Boston. Our coverage continues. We break down what we have learned and what we still do not know after the conclusion of the press conference by the U.S. Coast Guard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and over the past few days. This afternoon, Rear Admiral John Mauger will be providing an update on the most recent findings from ROV operations in search of the Titan submersible. He will provide a brief statement and provide the opportunity for questions after. Please limit your questions to one per outlet. Following the briefing, the Joint Information Center staff and I will be here to help you with any of your further needs. May I now please introduce May I now please introduce Rear Admiral John Mauger.
This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the entire Unified Command, I offer my deepest condolences to the families. I can only imagine what this has been like for them, and I hope that this discovery provides some solace during this difficult time. Additionally, we've been in close contact with the British and French Consuls General to ensure that they are fully apprised and that their concerns are being addressed. The outpouring of support in this highly complex search operation has been robust and immensely appreciated. We are grateful for the rapid mobilization of experts on the undersea search and rescue, and we thank all of the agencies and personnel for their role in the response. We're also incredibly grateful for the full spectrum of international assistance that's been provided. The ROVs will remain on scene and continue to gather information. Again, our most heartfelt condolences go out to the loved ones of the crew. We'll now take questions.
John, what other debris have you found? John, what other debris have you found? Can you talk about the delay in reporting the
This was a incredibly complex case, and we're still working to develop the details for the timeline involved with this casualty and the response. And so we'll provide that information.
James Matthews from Sky News. John, what other debris have you found? And have you found any trace?
So this is an incredibly complex operating environment on the seafloor, over 2 miles beneath the surface. And so the remote operating vehicle has been searching, and it is highly capable. And we've been able to classify parts of the pressure chamber for the Titan submersible. Let me refer to one of my undersea experts here, Mr. Paul Hankin, to talk about the nature of some of the debris.
Thank you, Admiral. So essentially, we found 5 different major pieces of debris that told us that it was the remains of the Titan. The initial thing we found was the nose cone, which was outside of the pressure hull. We then found a large debris field. Within that large debris field, we found the front end bell of the pressure hull. That was the first indication that there was a catastrophic event. Shortly thereafter, we found a second smaller debris field. Within that debris field, we found the other end of the pressure hull, the aft end bell, which was basically comprised of the totality of that pressure vessel. We continue to map the debris field, and as the Admiral said, we will do the best we can to fully map out what's down there.
Admiral, can I ask you, thank you very much. It's